Mainly, and it was for a bunch of different reasons because like when we were talking about all the greats of all time, it was like where Tiger was. So
Right.
every other event was just like, can Tiger get ready to win the next major? And I love the
Right.
fact that there was one major in every month, starting from the Masters there
Right.
in April. Your thoughts on this year's tournament as we go to the second major of the 2026 golf season?
Yeah, I'm excited to watch. I think I probably got a little more into golf when the majors came around just because of this show and us really dissecting it. So I had a lot of fun really watching golf and seeing Scottie Scheffler come back and almost take the win. That's who I had picked. So I'm excited to now watch this tournament.
Yeah, the Aronimink is where they're headed out. Patrick will bring you in the fold here. You're the best golfer on this show by far, and and the one who keeps up with this the most, especially the tournaments leading up to this. We have talked about Scottie Scheffler a lot. Clearly the world's #1 player and one of the favorites in this thing.
Yeah, and it's so weird because we've seen a different side of Scottie Scheffler when talking with the media, I feel like, in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think the one interaction that he had with a member of the media after he shot 65 at the Masters, and the guy was like, well, what do you think you should have shot? And he gave a very non-Scottie-like answer. Usually Scottie's very friendly with the media, very interactive in the conversation. And he's just like, that's a dumb question. And that kind of took me back. I was like, wait, I didn't know that there was this side to Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah.
And it almost seemed like he kind of, I don't want to call it like Rory mannerisms, because Rory has his, I have my whole thing about Rory in the media where he's like, okay, if Rory has a good round, he's going to be absolutely thrilled to talk about it. He's going to ask, or he's going to answer every single question that everybody has in the room. But if he has a bad round, he's not even going to show up at all. Just take a look at the U.S. Open from 2 years ago. He didn't even stick around to congratulate Bryson DeChambeau, even though DeChambeau stuck around and congratulated him, obviously, on the Masters. Well, not really stuck around because, obviously, they were matched together. But it's weird because now we're going back to the Scottie Scheffler I think of old. When I was listening to his press conference this week, I think this is the calmest he's felt all season.
Okay.
And this could be all just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
But it is weird. He's very interactive. He's telling stories. He's laughing. He was having a good time. And he's got nothing but good memories about this tournament. He blew away the field last year. I witnessed it firsthand on Thursday. Even though he didn't have a great round, he still had a good enough round to where he was putting himself in contention. And that Saturday, round 3, I mean, that was probably one of the more remarkable rounds that no one really talks about.
Right.
But I feel really good about him defending this week.
You were kind of on the Scottie train to begin with. We'll get your
I
picks.
think I was on the Scottie train more than Patrick was for a little while there.
Well, what you don't realize is I'm probably the biggest Scottie Scheffler fan out of all of us.
Okay, but did you pick him to win the Masters?
Okay, but I can't. If I did, that's inherently letting my bias come out.
I don't think it is, though, because he placed second at the Masters.
Yeah, but after Friday,
he played way better than, who did you pick again?
DeChambeau.
Yeah, and he didn't even make the cut to Saturday.
All right, a broken clock
So it
works
sounds
right
like-
twice a day. I mean,
Sounds like I was the bigger supporter here.
DeChambeau had the momentum coming in.
He did a lot of momentum.
Everyone had a good feeling about him. Just don't ask him about the bunker on 11. And maybe if he gets out of the bunker the first try on 11, maybe he does make the cut. I think that did have a major factor.
Yeah,
in the
but
recent...
he didn't. And,
all right.
But
and
also-
who
but
did?
also-
What
Our
is
boy
this, the Let's
Scottie.
Grill Patrick
also-
Walsh show?
But
I mean, goodness.
going into it, Scottie was not getting off to great starts. And you figure,
But he was still #1, right?
Yeah, he's still
going
#1.
in.
Yeah. But your #1 ranking in the world is not like college football, where
Yeah.
it juggles week to week.
Right.
This is taking a body of work, so it's going to take a lot. I don't know if Rory wins this week. He might start to separate the difference, the huge gap between the two. But there is something to the world golf rankings where it. Not that it doesn't matter, but it almost doesn't matter individual tournament to individual tournament.
Right.
It matters more so on a bigger body of work.
I wanted to wait on this, but since you brought up the fact where, he came so close, and you were talking about the Thursdays and how he's kind of out of position, just let I know we're kind of jumping to the soundbite here really quickly. Just let him explain it, just because we are on topic about this.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was last week my wife was like, hey, Scottie, you're like first guy in PGA Tour history to have like 3 solo runner-ups in a row. I'm like, yeah, it's probably because the guy who was playing that good figured out a way to at least win one of those. He didn't come second at all 3. So I think it is a little bit of it's bittersweet, just because finishing second in a golf tournament is not bad. But, I mean, especially in the way I did it in a couple of them. I mean, I was spotting guys so many strokes going into the weekend. Immediately the Masters didn't have a very good chance going into the weekend there. You look at Hilton Head, didn't have a very good chance going into the weekend there. And then, Cadillac, I finished solo second, but really didn't really have that good of a chance, So just different things. So overall, yeah, I'd say a little bit bittersweet. You're playing good golf and you love to get some wins, and finishing second hurts. But I think when you reflect and you're looking at things to work on, you're like, there's a lot less to clean up when you're finishing second than there is when you're finishing 30th.
Straight up love the honesty. I mean,
he
just comes
it
out
just
and
goes off of what she was saying.
Yes, and it was perfectly placed there, because he has finished second, but it's one of those things where he could put it in proper perspective. Second in golf, number one financially, is still very, very nice.
Right.
Secondarily, you understand, okay, my faults are X, Y, and Z. My faults are the way I started out of this race.
Right.
And if you stumble out of the gate, understanding you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball, hearing him say that, I'll ask Patrick the same thing without making his pick. Hearing him say that, does it make you think that even more so he will be ready to go come tomorrow?
I don't know if I would say even more so. I feel like he's always ready, but I just want to.
But his results really haven't shown that.
Correct. But I still think he's ready. He just hasn't lived up to the standards. But I will comment on that soundbite, because I think it's hilarious that his wife went to him and was like, hey, you're the first guy in history to get second place 3 times in a row, which she was probably trying to be so encouraging. But to him, that was such a backhanded compliment. I just think that's hilarious.
I'm going to say this. What I'm about to say is going to be so unfair.
Why?
Because I feel like that would be you. If your husband played golf, I feel like
it's funny to me.
You would point it out. No question, that's the reason why it's funny to you.
Because it comes from a good place. I know deep down she was excited for him, but to him it's I wouldn't brag about that,
And then he joked that the reason why he's probably the first to do it 3 times is because the guy that did it twice,
but that's who he
found a way to want to win it the next time around.
That's who he is, and we just haven't seen that from him this year. That's why it's been so weird. We saw him, I think, throw the ball in the water during the Florida swing. That's something that we don't usually see. We saw him get really mad on the putting greens. That's also something that we're just not used to seeing. And I almost feel like, and I'm in no way Randy Smith, his coach, but I almost feel like he's kind of forgetting about one of the number 1 rules of golf, that if you want to shoot a good score, you got to manage your expectations. I almost felt like he may have put too much expectation on himself. And, I think when you start to see that first Thursday go bad, and I think it was the waste management all the way back in February. That's the first one where it's like, okay, he had a bad Thursday. This is weird. And then he follows it up with a bad Thursday at Pebble Beach. And then it's almost like, all right, the expectation is I need to go out and shoot a good score. When you start pushing in any sport to do something harder, you're probably going to do worse at it. So I almost feel like, in a way, he just needed to start managing his expectations a little bit.
Right.
And we've seen him be able to claw out of these holes. So you never know if he truly is out of a tournament at any point. But I feel like now that he's cool, calm, and collected, I would not be shocked if he came out tomorrow and shot a 64. Just being honest. And that's why I do think he's going to win.
So, and essentially, he plays his best golf when he returns to center. And it showed in the 3rd round of the Masters. It showed in some of the other tournaments where he plays well on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So you're now thinking he's now had the full kind of circle of emotions of the pressure, the expectations, the center. Pressure, expectations, back to center. Now you think he can start Thursday back at center and then separate himself from the field, because, like you said, he could probably do what he did last year and run away with this thing if he does play, to his strengths.
Without a doubt. And that press conference, just listening to it, it just seems like that's the Scottie Scheffler that we heard about from last year, from 2 years ago, when he went on this crazy run. He just looked like he was actually having fun, enjoying the moment, kind of soaking it all in. Whereas earlier this year, I will say this, I think the Players was probably his worst tournament of the year, and frankly could actually be one of the worst tournaments of his entire career.
Yeah.
Just from a mechanic standpoint.
Right.
I mean, he was absolutely all out of sorts and still found a way to get through the weekend, got a little bit of time off. Then we started to see him, yes, the Thursday problems were still there during his last, 3-tournament stint, but he still found a way outside of the Cadillac Championship because Cam Young just absolutely ran away with that.
Right.
Still found a way to, chip away at it. Had a really nice round 3 at the Masters. Started to chip away at the RBC Heritage. So it is nice to see, this being, the Scottie Scheffler that we know.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's zoom out.